This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everybody. My name is Patrick Gilchrist. I'm the Warning Coordination Meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Glasgow, Montana, and this is your drought and climate outlook for Eastern Montana. Today is October 21st, 2021. So first thing we'd like to do is talk about our recent precipitation event. This happened back on the 12th through the 14th of this month. We did get some welcome relief in the form of precipitation. You can see mainly targeting the lower Yellowstone Valley in eastern Montana. You can see Glendive area got close to 2 inches of precipitation, and down towards Prairie County got north of an inch as well. You can see as you went to the west, however, you can see precipitation totals really petered out pretty quickly. Just a little over a quarter an inch in Jordan, and then when you get towards the western end of Garfield County and into Petroleum County, getting down into less than 1/10 of an inch of precipitation. And that held true for Valley and Phillips County as well, that when you got up into the further west you went, the lesser the precipitation totals were. Some of this precipitation fell as rain. Again, this is some of the estimations getting a little bit further beyond just far northeast Montana. You can see that, again, some welcome precipitation all the way in southeast Montana as well. Some of the estimates here are north of an inch of precipitation across a pretty large swath for southeast Montana. So again, very much some welcome relief. However, it is not going to be enough to overturn the long-term deficits that we've been running as far as the long-term drought goes. Some snow as well fell with this, and that was certainly worth noting that we did see the significant snowfalls with this as well. And again, this is a pretty early season snow event for us here in eastern Montana. But you can see a lot of areas did see, upwards of a foot of snow. Maybe even some areas that saw even more than that. That's, anywhere from 18 to even 24 inches. Rather impressive snow totals. Again, considering we're just roughly midway through the month of October at this point. So again, and then we have a really nice photos that were shared with us from Charity Schmierer, one of our CoCoRaHS observers. She took first the top left image right after the snowfall. You can see they got several inches of snow there, and made for kind of a nice winter wonderland look. And then instantly 2 days later, and again, that really talks to the variability about our climate, especially this time of the year, how we can go from a winter wonderland to a nice green up as a result of that recent precipitation, and how quickly things can change again, because we are still really in the heart of fall season here in eastern Montana. So a quick look at January through September, our yearly county precipitation ranks. And you can see again, eastern Montana, almost without exception, is much below average, or not quite at record driest. But a lot of counties are probably not that far off in a lot of regards. We are down definitely in that much below average precipitation. You can see that carries through most of the state of Montana as well. In fact, when you get just a few counties on the northern regions of the High Line, and then of course into western Montana, that are still below average as a whole for that January through September timeframe. But Montana continues to be reeling from the effects of a long-term drought conditions. As we look at temperatures, again, not anything that's going to come as too much of a surprise here. A lot of the state, especially the far eastern and the far western, finished much above average for that January through September timeframe. Central part of the state, again, finishing above average. So again, it was very warm and very dry thus far for the year of 2021. Look at how October is shaping out. Again, no real surprises here. Departure from normal temperatures. You can see that by and large, with just a few minor exceptions, that much of eastern Montana is finishing in that 2 to 4 to maybe even 6 degrees above normal so far for the month of October. A few areas along the southern tier of Montana, maybe closer to normal temperature-wise, maybe even a few areas just ever so slightly below, but by and large, you can see east of the divide that areas are generally running a couple degrees above normal. And you can see that that trend nationwide is very much targeted over the Great Lakes region, where they're seeing those 8 to 10 degrees above normal temperatures really dominating. And you get out into the southwest, interestingly enough, and so far for the month of October, temperatures are upwards of 6 degrees below normal. So little bit of a shift from what we have been seeing being so dominant during the summer months. Precipitation wise, again, we had that good precip event that I talked about earlier, really targeted lower Yellowstone Valley for us in northeast Montana, but you can see gets down into southeast Montana as well. And you can see a lot of areas finishing well above normal on the precipitation totals there. But as I mentioned before, the further west and especially northwest you went, the less of the precipitation amounts. And you can see that when you get further down the High Line, especially west of Glasgow area, you're really not seeing much, didn't see much in the way of precipitation at all. And you can see a lot of areas there, certainly below 50%, in some cases below 25% of normal precipitation. So again, a little bit of a have and have not situation with that one precipitation event. But at this point, with how dry it's been, we're grateful for every drop that we can get. Quick look at snapshots, Glasgow and Billings. You see Glasgow still largely plateauing on our precipitation totals. We haven't seen a decent precip event since middle of August. You can see that flat line is very much impacting conditions out here in the east side. I see Glasgow only 44% of normal precipitation. Billings is doing a little bit better. You can see that middle of October they did get some precipitation from that more substantial event that impacted southeast Montana. And you can see that helped bring some of their precipitation totals up, but they're still hanging right around 66% of normal. So again, Billings is in a little bit better shape, but still certainly all of eastern Montana continues to feel the impact of the long-term drought. Looking a little bit beyond Glasgow and Billings, you can see areas across eastern Montana and even through central and southeast Montana. You can see Culbertson only about 48% of normal. Glasgow again 44% of normal. Burdett 60%. Plentywood 65%. Terry 63%. Again, a lot of these numbers have been recently improved upon, especially down in that lower Yellowstone country with that recent precip event. But again, you can still see the idea of just how kind of dry conditions are. Malta 73%, Zortman 57%, Jordan 65% of normal. You get down into the southeast Montana, Baker 60% of normal, Ekalaka 73%. Out in the central part of the state, Great Falls 75% of normal, but Lewistown 60% of normal, and Havre only at 55% of normal precipitation. So again, drought is certainly on everybody's mind and is a significant player right now for eastern Montana. We look at the drought monitor. This is the latest one, just came out today. It is as of October 19th, and you can see that a lot of areas in the western U.S. continue to experience anywhere from D3 extreme to D4 exceptional drought. Montana is no exception to this as well. When we zoom in a little bit closer on Montana and North Dakota, you can see that a good chunk of northeast Montana, especially centered right around Fort Peck Lake, interestingly enough, and portions of the Missouri River, continuing to feel the effects of those D4 exceptional drought conditions. This is really a drought of record in a lot of ways, and certainly of major impact to agriculture interests in northeast Montana. A little bit of improvement down in the southeast recently with that D2 severe drought, though continuing to be of significant impact there. But with that recent precip event, they did find it prudent to improve conditions a little bit there. But you can see by and large, much of Montana or all of Montana continue to be in at least D2 severe drought. A lot of areas in the D3, and then of course the D4 exceptional drought in the northeast portion, and then of course down in the southwest as well, Beaverhead County up through Silver Bow County, continuing to see those exceptional drought conditions. North Dakota, on the other hand, again, maybe has seen a little bit of improvement here over the last few weeks, but they continue, at least to where they border northeast Montana, in the northwestern corner of North Dakota, continue to see those D3 extreme drought conditions prevalent there. And I would encourage you, again, of course, as people on the ground, the ground truth, as it were, to pass on any information you might have, especially if you have anything with some good concrete numbers that certainly will carry a lot of weight in making sure that the decision makers are well informed about what conditions are on the ground. And you can do that by using this National Drought Impact Reporter, the Montana Drought Impact Reporter, by utilizing these links here to pass on that information to the decision makers. So short-term forecast precipitation totals, you can see pretty substantial across much of the western U.S., especially into the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. It looks like they're going to get absolutely hammered by a major storm system that's going to be moving onshore here over the next day or so. Looks like you can see precipitation totals there in the Sierras and up into the Cascade Mountains and the coastal ranges, north of 4 inches of precipitation. Some areas seeing even higher amounts, so rather impressive storm system. And you can see some of that precipitation does bleed over into western Montana. Looks like they'll see a little bit of, again, much needed precipitation. However, as you get east of the divide, you can see that the precipitation totals really fall off quite dramatically and rather quickly. And so, unfortunately, over the next week, we're not expecting much other than some light showers, light precipitation east of the Continental Divide. A lot of areas will remain dry with near seasonal temperatures. So, unfortunately, even though a big chunk of the U.S. is going to get some drought relief, eastern Montana is not in store for our future. Quick look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, temperature-wise. You can see Montana split between near normal temperatures across the western half of the state and across the eastern half. Temperatures favoring better chances for above normal readings, so a little bit warmer across the eastern side of the state. And on the precipitation totals, you can see that the western side of the state, which will go with those near normal temperatures, favoring better chances for above normal precipitation, with eastern Montana favoring more normal type precipitation for the 8 to 14 day outlook. Look at the 3-month drought outlook. Again, this just came out today, and interestingly enough, we do have a change to talk about. And again, I think cautious optimism is going to be the word I would prefer to use as we look forward here. That there could be some, maybe some improvement, even though we're expected to see the drought remaining across much of the state of Montana. A big chunk of it looks like we could see some improvement as we get into early next year. So again, maybe some reason to feel a little bit more optimistic, but again, take this for what it is in those long-term forecasts, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the risks associated with La Nina here in just a second. So look at look at the month for November. Again, more equal chances, maybe the southern tier of Montana favoring warmer temperatures temperature-wise, but you can see that the whole state of Montana, interestingly enough, bullseye for better chances for above normal precipitation for the month of November. Again, cautious optimism. And then the winter outlook. So December, January, and February of this year, you can see Montana favored for below normal temperatures, and a good chunk of it, with the exception of the far eastern third or quarter of the state, is favoring better chances for above normal precipitation. So again, with how dry things have been, with how critical conditions are out there on the ground, fingers crossed that we do see some of that increased precipitation to try to reverse some of the effects of this ongoing drought. So a quick look beyond that, March, April, May, into the spring of next year of 2022. And you can see equal chances for temperatures, nothing being favored really strongly one way or the other. So maybe more normal temperatures. And then precipitation, you can see just a sliver of far northwest Montana favoring above normal chances for precipitation. The rest of the state remaining in that equal chances, maybe more normal precipitation totals outlook for the spring. So again, not a bad scenario, because those tend to be getting in towards our wettest months when we get towards the latter portions of the spring. So again, fingers crossed. These outlooks, favoring cooler and wetter conditions for much of the state of Montana are hinging a lot upon this La Nina conditions. And we do have a La Nina advisory that has been issued. And again, that's that cooling of the waters off the coast of South America near the equator. And you can see these are the forecasts here are showing, pretty good dip in overall cooling of those waters, at least lasting into the early part of next year. and it says 87% chance of a La Nina from December through February. So we are expecting La Nina conditions to develop and to dominate. And again, historically, that will favor cooler temperatures across eastern Montana and ever so slightly increased chances for precipitation. However, it is worth noting that there's a lot of variability associated with La Nina winters. And this is courtesy of Brian Bretschneider. He's a climatologist up in Alaska. Again, definitely worth a follow on Twitter. Puts out a lot of really interesting information. But here he looked at all of the historic weak to moderate La Ninas that have occurred over where we have records for them, and what that means as far as temperatures go in this graphic. And you can see that as we loop that, you can see there's a lot of variability, you know, cold, warmer, colder, colder, cooler, warmer, and you can see there's just a lot of variability associated with La Nina. So while La Nina is a good signal, it's not as strong and not of as much as of a slam dunk as it were for the outlooks as say a La Nina or an El Nino event. So this shows the variability in temperatures, and if we hop over to here, this shows the variability in precipitation. Again, some great stuff courtesy of Brian Bretschneider. You can see a dry year, wetter year, drier year, mixed bag years across much of eastern Montana. So again, I think there's a feeling of overall cautious optimism, but knowing that La Nina is no guarantee of wetter and cooler conditions, I think that staying on the guarded side is always a good idea when utilizing this information. So that sums up our monthly climate outlook. If you, of course, have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself, Patrick Gilchrist, or my counterpart in the Billings, Montana office, Tom Frieders. You can also visit us on social media. And of course, any impacts that you have from the drought, please feel free to pass those on using those links below. Thank you.